Hey, it's Nether. I have another Path of Exile 2 tips video for you. In this video I'll cover a bunch of unique items that enable you to speedrun through the campaign, 2 leveling builds you can run on any starting class, and various other information to help you level up your characters like a pro. I've collected a bunch of great leveling uniques listed in no particular order. Starting with Thrillsteel Spired Greathelm, which is an amazing helm you can equip at level 27, which gives you onslaught. Onslaught grants 20% increased skill speed and 10% increased movement speed, which is obviously very potent for pretty much any build. And it only costs 5 exalted orbs now. Next up is the Ghostwrithe Tattered Robe, which is an amazing body armor you can equip at level 1, which gives you 100 extra maximum energy shield, a bunch of chaos resistance, and 50% of your max life converted to energy shield. Just all in all, a really tanky, nice, unique item to equip at level 1, and it's gonna last you until the end game. They come super cheap at only 1 or 2 exa pop. For those of you who want to level up as a bow character, the Splinterheart Recurve Bow is quite a nice starting unique bow, which gives 27 to 56 physical damage, has some increased proj speed, and projectiles split towards +2 targets, which helps out with clear. However, you will probably replace this bow rather quickly, around like level 30, level 40, when rare bows become a lot better. And because of its short lifespan, this bow is also incredibly cheap at only 1 exalted orb. A very big leveling unique for casters is the Lifesprig Attuned Wand, which can roll up to +3 to level of all spell skills, which is very strong obviously. However, this unique is kinda costly at 30 exalted. The Foxshade Quilted Vest is another unique you can equip at level 1, which increases your movement speed on full life by 10%. Movement speed is king when it comes to leveling. Actually, it's king when it comes to doing anything in Path of Exile. This unique only costs 1x. By the way, did you actually know that there is a movement speed penalty to equipping jackets? I mean body armors? This movement speed is even more severe when wearing a strength-based armor type. I know, as if armor wasn't weak enough already. And this movement speed penalty also applies to shields. Asphyxia's Broadhead Quiver is a quiver you can equip at level 1, which gives some additional damage, some attack speed, a little bit of cold res, more damage against chilled enemies, and attacks gain 10% of damage as extra cold damage. Nothing crazy, but better than an empty quiver slot. You can pick this up for a single exalted orb. Next up is a Certified Hood Classic, an item most Path of Exile 1 players will immediately recognize, the Goldrim Felt Cap. You can equip this at level 10 for 10% increased rarity of items found, and up to 35% to all elemental resistances. With decent rolls it costs about 10 exalted orbs, but if you don't necessarily need the all res and you're not dying left and right, I actually highly encourage you to try out the Onslaught helmet. For our casters, Dodra's Teneur Stitch Gloves is a great option to increase your spell damage by 100% at the cost of reducing your cast speed by 17%. If you can negate the minus cast speed with some increased cast speed, most spells will do fine. These gloves only cost 2 exalted orbs. The Wanderlust's Wrapped Sandals is yet another fantastic leveling unique, as it gives you 20% increased movement speed and your speed is unaffected by slows, which is huge. You can equip these kicks at level 11 and they're probably gonna last you up until late Act 4, which is around the area level where 25% movement speed starts rolling on boots, and remember, movement speed is king, so if we can get more movement speed, we always want more movement speed. These are also very cheap at only a single exalted orb. Next up is a pair of sneakers for strength-based builds, the Birth of Fury Stone Greaves, which can roll up to 18% movement speed once corrupted. I hear you thinking, wait, these boots are level 33, you can equip them later than Wanderlust boots, and you just said that movement speed is the most important stat, so why is this on the list? Well, I guess there are exceptions to the rule. If at the cost of losing a little bit of movement speed, you deal significantly more damage, and that is definitely the case with these boots. They will let you drop ignited ground while moving, which lasts 8 seconds and ignites as though dealing fire damage equal to 10% of your maximum life. So if you have a bunch of life while leveling, this is a lot of damage. The corrupted 18% movement speed version costs about 15 exalted orbs. Meganord's Girdle Rawhide Belt doesn't really seem like a good unique at first glance, but you can equip this at level 1 and it gives up to 50 strength, which can help out a lot to meet the attribute requirements for certain skills, other gear, etc. On top of that, the strength is going to give you life and it has a little bit of a cold rest roll. Definitely better than nothing. Because this item enables some strong leveling builds, which we will talk about later in the video, it costs 5 exalted orbs. Another potent leveling unique is the Idol of Uldurn Crimson Amulet. It gives a decent amount of life regen, up to 80 max life and up to 20 dexterity. But most importantly, it has the line skills have +1 to limit. In Path of Exile, certain skills can only have a limited number of effects active at once. If a new effect is created while at the maximum number of effects, the oldest effect will disappear. Certain support gems and items can modify the skill effect limits. This amulet costs about 8 exalted orbs for mediocre rolls. The Fireflower Solar Amulet is an amulet you can equip at level 52, so it's technically not a leveling item, but it's so strong that I still wanted to cover it. Most notably, it gives up to +4 to level of all fire skills, which can become +5 with catalysts and even +6 with a lucky Vial Orb. Then it gives a little bit of spirit, some mana regen and some rarity of items found. But then there's this line, take 83 fire damage when you ignite an enemy. I know that doesn't sound ideal, but at capped fire resistance this is really no damage at all. And it can actually enable you to have constant uptime of effects that take place when you're not having a full life pool. This amulet is a bit more expensive as it's a late game item as well as a leveling item. +3 to all fire skills costs about 50 exalted, and if you want a +4 version you're gonna have to pay about 1 divine orb. The Ligurium Talisman Lapis Amulet is yet another great leveling unique, which you can equip at level 35. It gives you a bunch of intelligence, up to 35 spirit, up to 40 maximum energy shield, and it has the line life regeneration is applied to energy shield instead, which is nice for survivability, if you are doing an energy shield based leveling build that is. This amulet only costs 2 exalted orbs. The Snake Pit Pearl Ring is another great ring for casters. You can equip this at level 32. It gives you a bunch of cast speed and spell damage, and it has some unique effects that change according to the slot you use the ring on. The effects you want to use might differ per skill, so I guess you just need to tinker around and see what works best. However, it does have one big downside, which is projectiles from spells cannot pierce. All in all, a very versatile ring that costs only 10 exalted orbs. The final item on this list is another one most Path of Exile 1 players should be familiar with, which is the Blackheart Iron Ring. A very simple ring that adds some physical damage, some life regen, some chaos damage, and a 25% chance to intimidate enemies for 4 seconds on hit, which increases your damage by 10% and decreases the intimidated enemy's damage by 10%. Pretty much any build that uses attacks wants to use 2 of these rings when starting out. They're very cheap, as they cost only 2 exalted orbs. A list of all the uniques mentioned and their price can be found in the video description. If you're missing a super obvious OP leveling unique from this list, please let me know in the comments. As mentioned earlier, the most important stat for leveling, and pretty much anything in Path of Exile 2, will be movement speed. So if you don't have a lot of currency left over to level up your second character and buy some juicy gear, at least make sure you pick up a pair of Wanderlust boots. To increase your mobility even further, on top of getting as much movement speed as possible, my advice is to use the weapon swap tech with a shield in your second weapon slot. Regardless of your build, you can link your shield charge with ingenuity support for more cooldown reduction and even more shield charging, and you can equip a mace and shield with plus strength to meet the strength requirements. Rolling at the end of the animation of shield charge actually makes it cancel the animation slightly faster. And if you play an int-based build, of course you want to pick up Blink as soon as you can. Mixing and matching the unique items mentioned earlier with good rares should enable you to zoom through the campaign. Besides movement speed, another very strong stat for leveling is anything that adds flat damage to attacks or spells. I've got 2 amazing leveling builds for you, utilizing uniques that synergize well together. Some of those uniques were not mentioned in the video, as they only become good under certain conditions, and I wanted to stick to general uniques that can help all builds. The first one is a bow build. You can level up any class using Widow Hill and Lightning Arrow into Gas Arrow around level 20 and using Radiant Greave Lace Hood, which ignites all enemies around you and synergizes amazing with Gas Arrow. Not only is this a good leveling build, it actually lasts you all the way into the endgame and you can make it your final build if you want to. The second leveling build is an attacker build, using Pillar of the Caged God combined with 2 Blackheart Iron Rings and Meganord's Girdle and other items that increase strength. Stacking as much strength as possible scales the damage of Pillar of the Caged God. This build is great for leveling and it also scales well into the endgame, but it can become very expensive to make work. On that note, usually any stat stacking build is really potent in Path of Exile, but also really expensive. And that's it for my leveling tips video. Hopefully you've learned something new and or gained some inspiration to help you zoom through the campaign on your next character. If you know any other good leveling build, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, please let the algorithm know by liking the video. And if you would like to see more Path of Exile 2 content, consider dropping a sub. If so, till next time.